Day sets in Maheba. As with most evenings, the choirs commune in practice for Sunday's church celebration. For the singers, the passion and vibrancy in their voices highlight a meaningful contrast to their material reality. With every note, the sounds of a clung-to hope echo out over the landscape, perhaps comforting even the most destitute. Located in the Copperbelt region of northern Zambia, the residents of Maheba come to this part of southern Central Africa for much different reasons than the international businesses that mine the mineral-rich land around them. These are refugees. Foreigners to Zambia, they and their families have fled the turmoil of their own countries in search of survival and greater stability. For some, that is offered, though they continue their battle against poverty in a new terrain. Maheba Refugee Settlement is a vast area of land that covers 720 square kilometers. Equal to the area of Singapore, Maheba is home to 36,000 refugees. Some may be here only a few years before being repatriated into their home countries. For many, however, this has been their family home for generations and will be their home for generations to come. There are benefits to the grand geographical size of Maheba. Many refugees are granted small plots of land where they are able to cultivate food for their families. On the other hand, this great size renders a great disadvantage to the populace, that is, inaccessibility. Walking is the primary mode of transportation in Maheba. Most of the road network is washed out dirt and sand, not allowing for any sort of public or private transit system to be established. Most vehicles do not survive here. Without a 4x4 truck or SUV, a luxury only had by the organizations that operate in the settlement, most of Maheba is completely inaccessible year-round and nearly impossible to reach in the rainy season. This severely limits the ability of emergency medical services to respond and treat victims. In the rainy season, there have been cases of Land Rover ambulances getting stuck in the mud, not allowing for effective retrieval or delivery of those suffering health issues. Economic development is stunted by the road conditions. Children have trouble getting to school, families face difficulty bringing their goods to market, and refugee entrepreneurs are limited in their ability to create a successful business. Many of the Maheba refugee residents believe that the road condition stands as one of the greatest barriers to further development.
Gravity now, this one, yeah. Gravity, yeah.
Like many developing countries, the Zambian government has a long list of projects that require funding, and refugee settlements generally are not given priority over projects that benefit the home population. Consequently, the road sits unconstructed with no plan of future development. The Braveheart Foundation is a Norwegian-funded organization that has a team of 60 full-time medical, counseling, administrative staff, and community educators. These staff are solely composed of African refugees and former refugees. Over recent years, Braveheart has been at the forefront of the aid response to the conditions in Maheba, being recognized by the UNHCR and the Zambian government as the aid organization producing the largest impact for the people of Maheba.
As Braveheart, we are there to help human being. As long as he's a human being, we are there to help. So that's our mandate.
Sargis Kaseba Gerald is the Director of Operations for the Braveheart Foundation in Maheba. 30 years ago, as a young boy, Sargis and his family fled conflict in the Congo, and after reaching the Zambian border, were placed here in Maheba settlement. Having grown up in Maheba as a refugee, Sargis now energetically leads a force that combats the suffering that he had known so well.
Time is already 7:34, but students are still walking to school, but they were supposed to be in class at 7:30. The reason being that where they are coming from is very far. No matter how they walk, for them to reach in time at school is a challenge. It's a challenge.
In his youth, Sargis would wake up just after 3 a.m. to prepare for school. From his home, either walking under early morning starry skies or the heavy downpour of the rainy season, he would begin the 18-kilometer journey to the closest school. After reaching school, the lack of adequate food supply made it difficult for him to focus throughout the school day. He describes the tiredness of the mind and the body, which only made the thought of the journey back home at the end of the day more dreadful.
You're welcome. Learn well. Okay.
There are only 2 secondary schools in Maheba today. With this little of options, and the size of a camp as large as Maheba means that many students experience a similar struggle to that which Sargis encountered, having to walk upwards of 15 kilometers to get to school from the plot of land that their family was allotted.
The situation of school girls that walk long distance in a thicket of Maheba to reach their schools. There are girls that were walking a distance of 10 kilometers, others 15 kilometers, others 18 kilometers through the bush to reach the school. But these girls are at risk in most cases of rape and the sexual abuse in the bush on their way to school and back to school. Sometimes others decide to camp near the school, squat in some shabby houses just to reduce the movement, but this has taken most of the girls on unwanted pregnancy and also sexual abuse, sexual violence. And by so doing, it's so difficult that sometimes those cases are not reviewed, are not reported, due to the fear of culture, and parents would think to say it was intentional. But through the survey, we have discovered that these cases are happening underground. We found children having unwanted pregnancy, and sometimes they intend to abort in order to avoid conflict in the family. Some they even lose their life in the process. So it's quite dangerous, the situation of school girls walking in a distance in the thicket of Maheba roads.
Despite the dangerous conditions, many teenage girls count the cost. seeing that a secondary education is their only ticket to the chance of maybe making it to university, if they somehow miraculously get the funds. Braveheart hopes to play a part in turning this situation around. To do that, they purchased a building that they turned into a girls' dormitory near one of the secondary schools. Instead of having to walk for hours to and from school in the dangerous territory, now girls have the ability to spend the school week living in the dormitory and then go home to see their family on the weekend.
So we are supporting these girls with the where to sleep, the bunker bed. We have made both of them the mattresses and the lighting system to enable them study at night. So this is just to relieve them from walking to and fro every day to school. But the space is just for closer to 40 girls. But the girls who are undergoing the same situation are more than 100. So this is the only capacity we could manage to help. But we don't provide them food because we have no fund for food. They need to run back home to their families to look for food. Sometimes their parents do not have food. They will end up starving, or they will be eating from other girls' food just to help them stay in school. This is the current situation we have. And we still think if all goes well, this project can be extended and expanded to help the life of schoolboys and schoolgirls to at least have better education and a bright future.
The bar for refugees to escape the bounds of poverty is not made easy without an education. Braveheart has partnered with the Japanese embassy to have a new primary school built in Maheba. While this school nears the end of its construction, at its completion, it will only be able to operate properly according to the number of teachers placed at the school by the Zambian government. Due to the remote location of Maheba, teachers cannot be placed at the school without the presence of teacher housing to accommodate them. This school, therefore, that will serve over 300 kids, may only have one teacher to start until more on-site teacher housing is able to be constructed. The UNHCR and the Zambian government have also asked Braveheart to repeat the work that they have done in Maheba and Zambia's other 2 refugee camps. At the moment, however, this remains a future goal. Life has been difficult and unpredictable for most all of the residents of Maheba. Many never imagined that they would become refugees. However, all find themselves at the mercy of governmental, economic, environmental, and societal dynamics. Despite the vulnerability of not knowing what the future will hold, the refugees of Maheba continue to fight on each day for the good of their families and those around them. They continue to hope for and work towards a better tomorrow while looking past the troubles of today. In the words of a former refugee and now Braveheart Foundation emotional trauma counselor, he says, "I had lost everything except my ability to smile."